Hi everyone, welcome to UC Berkeley's admissions presentation and student panel. My name is Violetta Bermudez and I'm an assistant director here in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions for Berkeley. I am also the regional rep for San Bernardino and Inland Empire in the state of California, as well as the Mid-Atlantic region, so that includes New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. I'm going to introduce some of our students that are here with us today to talk a little bit about their experience. I'm going to go and let them introduce themselves, so try to speak loudly so that they can hear you okay.
Hi, I'm Emma Schiffer, and I'm a third year here, and I'm an English major from Studio City.
Hi everyone, I'm Diana. I'm a sophomore and I'm a sociology major.
Hi everyone, I'm Baltazar. I'm a third year media studies major from Los Angeles.
Great. So I wanted you all to kind of meet with them first so that you can start thinking of some questions that you might want to ask them as they told you kind of where they're from and their majors. We have, a sociology major, an English major, and a media studies major. So definitely, think about some questions that you might want to ask those particular students. We would definitely prefer to take questions at the end, so maybe write them down and or just remember them and ask them a little bit later on. The Q&A box should be on the bottom left-hand corner for you all as well. We can just pop it open and see all the questions you're asking. So like I said, let's just wait till the end to get any of those questions answered. So a little bit about our campus. For those of you who have not been to Berkeley in the past, we're in the San Francisco Bay Area. So as you can see here on our PowerPoint, we are just kind of we're right across from the San Francisco Bay in the beautiful Northern California region. So for those of you students who are interested in the Silicon Valley, maybe you want to work for Facebook or Google, they're located just 40 minutes away from here. We're also really close to Napa Valley and really close to Lake Tahoe if you're interested in skiing when you come to college. Our campus is beautiful, as you can tell here from this picture. We'll go on to the next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about admissions. So most of you are probably really interested about that specifically. There's a little bit of data for you there on the right-hand corner. So we admit about 18% of the students that applied to our campus. We did get a lot of applications this past year. We had about 73,000 freshman applications, and we admitted about 18% of those students. As you can see, we bring students in from all over the place, so all over the country and all over the world. So we have tons of languages. I think over 140 languages are spoken here on campus. So it's a really diverse place, and it's something that we're really proud of. We are a large research institution, so we have 25,000 students that are here on campus that are undergraduate students, and another 10,000 or so that are graduate students. So it's a really big place, but it is a place where you can kind of make your own and make this larger community smaller, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we progress with the presentation, and our students will definitely talk about kind of how they made this larger community a smaller place for them. So a little bit about admission. So minimum requirements. Just like most of the other UCs, our minimum requirements are having at least a 3.0 if you're a California resident. If you're an out-of-state or an international student, we do ask that you have a 3.4 minimum GPA. Again, those are just minimums though. Our average admitted student this past fall was about a 3.9, so kind of keep that in mind. But we do admit students below the 3.9 all the time, as I said, and the 3.9 is just an average, and our minimum requirements are 3.0 and a 3.4 for the GPA. We also require that students make sure that they take their high school, what we call in California would be the A through Gs. If you're not a California student, you would want to just take your high school curriculum and make sure that you're challenging yourselves in this academic curriculum, and you're taking as many competitive courses like APs or honors or IBs or maybe community college level courses, whatever it is that you can access in your high school or even outside of your high school. So just being prepared and making sure that you're taking your high school curriculum is going to be really important, and following that and seeing that through. So we have GPA minimum, again, we have A through Gs or high school course requirements, and then we also require your SATs or your ACTs, so test scores, right? So test scores is another piece of the puzzle. It's not, the most important thing, but it's part of the process. We don't care if you take the SAT or the SAT. It doesn't really matter which exam you decide to take as long as you take one or the other. We will take your best sitting, so keep that in mind. It's just going to be whichever day you do best on. We don't super score, unfortunately, so just try your hardest and do the best that you can. Remember, it's only a part of kind of it's only part of the evaluation. It's not the whole thing. So again, minimum requirements: GPA, making sure you have at least 3.0 or 3.4 GPA, making sure that you're finishing your high school graduation requirements, and making sure you take the SAT or the ACT. So those are our minimum requirements. But you probably want to know a little bit more about what makes you competitive and kind of how we review our applications. So we do something that's called a holistic review. Many college campuses nowadays do a holistic review, and that's because we want to make sure that we're fair to every student. We are able to read the application, front to end. And we're really trying to understand who the student is as a person and kind of what they can contribute to our campus. So one thing you all should know, hold on just one second, I want to make sure I don't have any questions about sound. Okay, so we have some questions already. Okay, so one of the things you all should know, so we're looking at your academics and non-academics, right? So we're going to see what you're doing in the classroom. So of course we're going to look at your grades. Of course we're going to look at your SAT scores. And we're definitely going to look at the rigor of your program. So we want to see that you have as many honors and AP classes as possible. Some schools offer them. Some schools will offer APs or IBs or honors classes, but some schools don't. So we just expect that you do the best that you can within the context of your school, within what's available to you. We're never going to compare a student from, a high school here in Northern California to a high school in Southern California or to a high school in New York City. We're only going to compare you to the resources available to you within your own high school. So keep that in mind. It's contextual to you as a person and to the resources available to you. We're going to look at your extracurriculars as well, so that's kind of where the non-academic component comes in. So we're going to look and see what you're doing outside of the classroom. Are you involved in clubs, and are you volunteering? Do you have a job? Do you have an internship? Do you have family responsibilities? So we look at everything, right? We're not just looking at the traditional clubs and sports. We're also looking at what's going on at home with the family, because there's so much that happens to the student and for the student in their life. So make sure that you're kind of highlighting everything about you, whether it's been a challenge or whether it's been a positive opportunity that you've had in your life. And then for students who are applying into the College of Engineering, College of Chemistry, I do want to also highlight that we are going to make sure that you submit the SAT subject exams. So we do want to see that you have the subject exams either in Math Level 2, and then whichever science is most closely related to your area of interest. So that's just a side note to keep in mind in terms of being eligible and when you apply. And we'll talk a little bit more about the personal statement a little bit later too, so that you all have some more information kind of about what we're looking for and what the best way to kind of proceed with that is. So keep in mind the holistic review is looking at everything, right? Like I said, it's looking at academics and non-academic factors. So there's no one thing that will make you more competitive. You just have to do the best that you can with the opportunities and the resources that you have, and when you're ready to apply, make sure that you present yourself as best as possible, you present as much contextual information as possible, so that we can kind of get to know who you are as a person a little bit better. In terms of APs and IBs, we definitely would encourage you all to take it. It's not required, but they do add value to your application, so make sure that if your classes or your schools offer AP examinations, take advantage of them if you can. If you do well, that's positive. It'll add value to your application. If you don't do as well, it's going to be neutral information. But we still want to know that you take the exam, because it shows that you're trying hard and you're going above and beyond to really be competitive. So know that it won't necessarily hurt you if you don't do well, but definitely want to see that you're challenging yourself. So a little bit about our campus. We were chartered in 1868. We're actually the first UC, so sometimes you probably see on the news or on TV that we go by Cal or California, as you can see by some of our stuff here in the background. We do go by Cal. We are the first UC campus, and we're really proud of that. We have been consistently ranked as the #1 public institution, and that's not something we're just bragging about, but it's really something that we get excited about. Our students are doing so much, our professors are doing so much here to really assist in what's going on in the world and today's cutting edge research, but also in a lot of what was happening before. So I don't know if any of you know, but we discovered 16 elements on the periodic table, which is really cool. My favorite is Berkeleyum. I should have worn my Berkeleyum t-shirt today. I unfortunately didn't wear it, but we're really proud of all the stuff that we've done here on campus. We have an amazing library actually in the foreground. If you could see the building in the back, that's actually Doe Library. It's actually one of the biggest libraries here on campus, so we have 30 libraries on campus. So it's really cool to know we actually have 11.5 million book volumes on campus and over 640,000 ebooks available to students as well. So we actually have one of the largest library systems this side of the Mississippi. We're also working on a lot of amazing cutting edge research, you know, from robots that are going to help you fold your laundry to green building research, because we're really wanting to move in that direction. So there's a lot going on here on our campus, and we definitely want to invite you all to come explore it if you haven't been here already. So just a little bit more about applying. For those of you who will be applying soon, it's important that you know that you have to pick one college. So if you think of Berkeley as this umbrella, there's 6 undergraduate schools and colleges that you have to pick from. So we have our College of Chemistry, which is actually one of the only colleges of chemistry in the country. It houses a few different chemistry majors, really only 3. This is really for students who are thinking about pursuing a PhD in chemistry. Maybe you want, you know, to really go into research and really go into chemistry as much as possible. And this is really for students who are thinking that they want to eat, read, sleep, live chemistry all day. So really know that this is going to be that type of program. It's going to be very much a science-based program, and it is a bachelor's of science. We have our College of Environmental Design, which is also a really nice small school here at our campus. It's really for students who are interested in architecture, urban studies. We have a new major in that, College of Sustainable Development. And again, it goes kind of along with our green building research and a lot of the sustainable buildings that we're designing here on campus. So it's really something that we're moving towards and have been working on for a while. We also have our ever popular College of Engineering. Last year we did have I think it was about an 8% admission rate, and I know that students sometimes like to know kind of what their chances are, because it is a very popular and competitive program. But it's also a really great program. It's consistently ranked in the top 3 in the nation. We have, you know, our most popular majors are electrical engineering and computer science, or even mechanical engineering. So there's a ton of things for our students to do within the engineering school as well. We have our College of Letters and Science, which is actually our most popular college because it actually has most of our majors. So 75% of our majors are housed within the College of Letters and Science. So our 3 students are actually all in the College of Letters and Science based on their majors that they're in. Even though it is the largest college, it doesn't mean that it's not going to have access to, you guys won't have access to advisors. We're actually working really, really hard. We have a new dean who's working towards making sure that students are getting more frequent advising, consistent advising, and he's working with the college advisors, but also major advisors to make sure that students are getting information as soon and as quickly and as as frequently as they would like to, so that students can graduate in the 4 years, or in as much time as they plan to. We also have our College of Natural Resources. I'll come back to business afterwards, but our College of Natural Resources is a Bachelor's of Science. We do like to tell students who maybe are interested in pre-vet or pre-med to go to this particular college. We don't have a nursing program. I know a lot of students wonder and ask about that. So we don't have a nursing program, but students will often go into the College of Natural Resources and maybe do a nutritional science program, and they might do a registered dietitian track or a physiology track, and then maybe in the future apply to a master's in nursing so that they can actually pursue that particular goal. We do also have programs like our program of forestry, which actually just turned 100 years old, so that's a really cool kind of side note about our College of Natural Resources and the forestry program. And then we also have our business school, which is also very popular here on campus. It is actually, I believe it's the first or might be the second oldest business school here in the United States, but it is consistently ranked top 2 in the entire country. So we are tied with MIT for the top business program here in the U.S. for undergraduate students. So we're really proud of that. And that is the only professional degree that we have on campus. So if you're interested in this professional type of degree, the business school is the only one that would offer that at the moment. And students don't necessarily, it's only the business administration program. You can't necessarily have other concentrations with the exception of global studies. So you can have a concentration in global studies, but there are other classes students can take in the business school that will allow them to get exposure to marketing, accounting, other types of like communication. And the cool thing about the business administration program is, even though we don't necessarily have an accounting concentration, you can actually take the right amount of classes to be certified to become a CPA if that's something you're interested in doing. So I'm sure you all have plenty of questions in regards to the colleges, but we'll come right back towards that at the end. A little bit more about the campus. Students are able to do research. We have tons of opportunities for students to do research as soon as they get here, like the undergraduate research apprenticeship program. So students are able to start doing research in any area that they're interested in as soon as they get here in their freshman year. We have competitions that students can participate as well. But students are also doing more than just research. Actually, Diana told me about a really cool opportunity that she has. She's going to be doing an alternative spring break, and she's going to be going to different farms here in the Bay Area. In the San Francisco Bay Area, and she's going to be looking at it from a lens of food and social justice and kind of how that comes into play. And that's, you know, some of the things that you'll be able to do while you're here on campus outside of the classroom, right? We have internships that students participate in. For example, I didn't mention, but I'm actually an alum of Berkeley as well. And when I was a student here, I took a 1-unit class where I was going to a kindergarten classroom, and I actually sat with students and helped them with reading and math and made sure that, you know, they were up to par with their English and reading development. So there's so much that our students are doing aside from research. You know, they're going to study abroad as well. Students have over 250 different programs that they can actually take on through the EAP program, which is the Educational Abroad program. It's a UC-wide program, so maybe you have a friend at UCLA and you guys both plan to go to Brazil during your junior year. You both can do that together and do it at a university at Brazil and meet other folks, but also go with folks that you're, you know, might be familiar with your campus and kind of your experience being a UC student. And if we don't have the program you want, you can always go and take it in independent programs so that you can study abroad anywhere else that you might want to. Maybe something that NYU offers that Berkeley might not have. And so we really allow you to have the opportunity to not just obviously take advantage of our amazing classes here, but also other types of academic opportunities through research or through study abroad, or even maybe teaching your own class, because we do offer that opportunity. We have a decal program. Students are able to teach a 1-unit class on anything you want. So when I was a student here, there was a class that was offered on The Simpsons. So there's so much you can do. You just have to come and find it and take advantage of it here on our campus. So there's a lot that happens outside of the classroom that is a lot of fun as well. You know, on top of our academics, and students have access to the faculty, and you're able to really take advantage of that. As you can see, we have a 17-to-1 student-faculty ratio, which is great. Our students are able to access our staff and our faculty really as consistently as they want. Every professor has office hours and is available, you know, to help and answer any questions. Or to talk about graduate school, which was something that I really took advantage of when I was here, because we need letters of recommendation, and we really need opportunities to help us become more competitive for grad school as well. But in addition to that, we have lots of other opportunities in terms of clubs and organizations. We have 1,200 plus clubs and organizations for students, and that list is always growing because we have students who are always finding new things that they want to do here on campus. And hopefully our students can talk a little bit about the types of clubs that they're involved in here on campus. We're also a Division I school, so for those of you who are not too familiar with college sports, we're at the highest level of competition. So we have really cool athletes coming to our campus to do a lot of really great things. Our football team, we're working really hard to make sure that our football team is doing a little bit better, but we also have a lot of other opportunities for our students. In terms of swimming, I know that you guys probably have heard of Missy Franklin, she actually was in the 2012 Olympics here in London, and she just came to Cal recently. So we're really proud of what our students are doing athletically as well, but obviously academically too. And I'm sure you'll all have some more questions about that, and we'll be able to answer those questions. Oh, that's our last slide. So I'm going to go to the Q&A box here and see who has asked questions. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we have some specific questions about financial aid. Okay, so none of our students can answer the financial aid question, and I'll try to answer it as best as I can. I'm not actually a financial aid expert, so I don't want to give out any wrong information, but there is financial aid for out-of-state students. However, it sometimes can be limited to just the cost of attendance, not including the additional $22,000 out-of-state fee. So students who are needy students whose whose parents might not make the same amount of money as another type of student, we will try to meet their need as much as possible. So for example, we have students who might fit under our Blue and Gold plan who are in-state students. So our Blue and Gold plan will actually cover all of your tuition if you're an in-state student. But for our out-of-state students, if your family maybe is in that same sort of income bracket and meets that eligibility, we'll do the best that we can to cover your in-state costs. But that additional out-of-state fee might still be something that your family might need to help you cover, or you might need to find some scholarships for. So, but there is, again, financial aid for out-of-state students. It just might vary, and it really depends on your financial situation. Okay, I have another question from Nancy. And she said she is a student from India, and she has a desire to study at Berkeley. She's now in her final, hold on, let's see here. Trying to read this. Oh, it's down here. And now I'm in my final year of undergraduate course. Okay, so this is a question for graduate admission. So unfortunately, this session is just for undergraduate students, and we can't really answer questions on grad school because it's actually a completely different department. So I would want to recommend that you talk to grad.berkeley.edu. Or even check on the department's specific website to see what type of questions you might have in terms of admission that they can answer, and that's for the physics department. So definitely want to encourage you to check out their website. Unfortunately, we can't answer graduate admission questions right now. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Out-of-state scholarships. We do have out-of-state scholarships. We have scholarships for everyone. Again, usually most of our scholarships are merit-based, but we do have all sorts of scholarships available. One that might not be merit-based would be our chancellors and regents, and anybody can really get that scholarship if they apply to our campus. You just have to make sure that you do the best that you can on the application, and then there's a scholarship portion on the actual application where you click off different things that pertain to you, and you'll be considered for the scholarships. Just know the actual application is a scholarship application as well. Let's see. So the next question: when students have graduated from your school, what is the percentage of students actually getting into jobs? So I don't have that exact number on me, but I would encourage you to visit the Career Center's website. Honestly, most of our students are doing a lot of really great things, and maybe some of you can speak to that. I don't know if you guys have any friends. What are some of your friends who you guys know that have graduated from Cal? What are they doing? Does anybody?
I have a couple friends who graduated with a business degree, and one actually is working in Pixar right now in Emeryville, just not too far from here, and the other is working in Google.
Mm-hmm.
So those are really great opportunities, and definitely they got connected through the Career Center, and so a lot of internships and job postings are on that site. Mm-hmm. So once you get onto campus, you can definitely look at that and see if there's any opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any other examples?
So I never really knew anyone who came to Cal, but I know in the Career Center, if you look on there, they list all the majors, and they have statistics about people, like what people do with that major. Mm-hmm. Some people go to grad school, some people go in straight to careers, and they list the most popular careers by major. I forgot the exact web address, but if you just type in Cal Career Center on Google, you should be able to find it.
Okay. Emma, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I only know one friend who graduated from Cal so far, but she's working in education, and she has worked for an environmental nonprofit. She's working for education now, and she's about to start grad school at UCLA.
Okay, so those are all really great examples. And our students are doing so many different things. We have tons of students who are going off to grad school. Some students choose to take some time off. Some students go right into the work field. Some students do they do post-bac, so they're going back to school to finish up classes so that they can apply to like med school or nursing school. So there's so many different things that our students are doing after they graduate. Let's go ahead and go to the next question. Somebody's wondering about performing arts. Is there auditions? So we don't have auditions for most of our programs. Do you all know any specific programs that might ask for auditions? I don't think that they do.
Any clubs?
Yeah, mostly the clubs. So did you want to speak to that a little bit?
I don't know very much about that.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. But so most of our performing arts programs don't have auditions, although if you're gonna maybe, you know, be in some sort of a performance, they might ask for an audition for you to, you know, be in a specific role. And then can you talk about a major in business, minor in music? So we definitely have minors in music, and I want to direct you to the webpage just in the sake of time. But the business major, I think I talked a little bit about it, but again, it's only one major. It's our business administration major. There's a really great kind of outline of the curriculum, but you're, you know, having to do your core business classes in order to earn your bachelor's of science in business. You're doing about 30 units in business to have the core kind of business curriculum under your belt, and then you also have another maybe, I think it's 8 to 10 credits or units of electives, so you can choose anything in, you know, from marketing to accounting. And then they do actually encourage you to take some classes outside of the college so that you have electives outside of just business, and you have other things kind of that you are able to learn about. So let's see what this next question is. Do transfer students have to submit their high school transcripts? So actually nobody has to submit, and I just want to backtrack to this, nobody does have to submit a transcript when they apply, so everybody make sure you note that. We do not accept transcripts when you actually submit your application. Everything is self-reported on the application. If and when you're admitted, we will then ask that you submit your actual transcripts. Now for transfer students, we don't require that you submit your high school transcript, and it's not going to affect you in any way, because sometimes we have transfer students who maybe didn't do so great in high school, but then they do a lot better once they actually go to community college or whatever other institution they attend, and then they transfer here. And so the high school transcript is not required, but it is to your benefit to submit it, because it will show that on your Berkeley transcript that you actually graduated from high school. So it's better that you submit it than not submitting it at all. So I have another student who wants to know how many students are awarded full ride scholarships each year. So unfortunately, because we're not financial aid, we can't answer this specific question. But please know that we are an institution that's committed to serving our students as best as we can to help them pay for their education, and 65% of our students are on some form of financial aid, and about a third of our students are, you know, Pell Grant eligible, which means that they're, you know, needy students, and we really do the best that we can to help them pay for their education. And our students can actually touch on that a little bit, maybe about their experience in terms of financial aid and scholarships. So how important are teacher counselor recommendations? We do not accept teacher or counselor recommendations. Everything is self-reported on our application. So please don't submit letters of recommendation from anybody, because we won't read them. Let's see. So, okay, what are some of the best ways to stay on track in terms of what classes and credits transferred to Berkeley from an out-of-state community college? So, Kevin, I'm going to ask that you look at our transfer flyer online. So go to the transfer.berkeley.admissions page to check out our courses, our requirements, and our minimum requirements for transfer students. But in terms of the classes that we accept, as long as they're academic in nature, we will definitely take them. And we can talk a little bit more about that at the end if we have some time. We don't have a personal chat available now, but through this particular option. But if you guys do go to the general chat room that Berkeley has right now, we have tons of folks from our office that are chatting with you all right now, and these folks are admissions officers who work with our office. So definitely go to the actual chat room and ask specific questions if you have more questions that you need answering. Okay. How much do you feel Berkeley does for the environment? Well, maybe our students can help answer that. Does anybody want to answer that question? How much does Berkeley do for the environment?
They do a lot, and I'm a bit biased because my friend is on the ASUC sustainability team, which is called STEAM, and he's the executive director for that, I think, and he has a meeting every week one of my other friends is working with the Senator, Haley Broder, and she's doing a campaign about fossil fuels right now.
Cool.
And they just went to the big protest in New York, and they organized the group to do that. And it was very effective, and they had the time of their lives, and a lot of people have been reporting that it changed their lives. So in my experience, Cal has done a lot.
Did you guys want to add anything?
So our campus has really done it, or is really trying to do its part in trying to become as sustainable as possible. And we actually have dedicated resource centers here on campus to help students advocate for better, green initiatives on campus as well. So we really invest a lot of our efforts and resources to making sure that our campus is sustainable.
Also, if you come on campus, you'll see there's a lot of bins for composting, and also I believe there are regular trash bins. There's ones for just for bottles. There's a lot of Berkeley's very committed to being sustainable, and actually, I believe by 2020 we want to reduce our trash, I think, to nothing practically. That's actually a campaign that they're working on right now. And if you were to look it up, I don't remember the exact name, but I think it's something like Campaign for Berkeley or something. If you look up 2020, and it should pop up, and they have a lot of resources there that you can see, like the different projects that are happening right now on campus.
Great, thank you. So there's some more specific questions about applying, and somebody wants to know about the SAT score and if that's also self-reported. And the answer is yes. We ask that you also self-report your SAT or your ACT scores, or even your AP exam scores that you've already taken. Everything should be self-reported. However, please know that if you're going to take the November or even the December SAT or ACT, you're probably going to have that sent to our campus because your application, you want to make sure you submit it within the month of November. So that brings me to the deadlines in terms of when our application is, when it's open and when it's due. So the application is open on November 1st to actually submit it, and it's going to be due by November 30th. So please keep that in mind. You want to make sure that you submit it within the month of November and try not to wait until the end. But if you do take the SAT or the ACT later on in November or in December, you will just have those scores sent to us. Okay, another really great and important question about GPA. Do we count GPA from freshman year or sophomore year? Diana, do you want to answer that for us?
Yeah, so when we calculate your UC GPA, we are really only looking at your sophomore and junior year, although we do take in consideration your freshman year, but it's not calculated into your overall UC GPA. And the UC GPA only consists of academic classes, so we don't count like your PE courses, and the only classes that would get that extra point for your GPA would be AP and IB, no honors courses.
Great. Thank you. Let's see what other admissions questions we have. Somebody says hi. I think it's Vishal. Hi, Vishal.
Hi.
Let's see what we have. More admissions related questions. Weighted versus unweighted, which is preferred? So in the admissions process, our weighted and unweighted GPAs, they're both viewed. Neither, I should say, is preferred. We'll see both of them. So basically that means we're going to see, your GPA without all the weighted points, and then we'll see it, of course, with the weighted points. So just make sure you self-report all of your grades and all of your honors and all of your non-honors classes. We do really look at both scores. So just know that both GPAs are part of our review. So neither is preferred. Just make sure that you tell us what both are. Let's see. Which... I love these questions when people ask if who's better, Cal or Stanford. And honestly, we're here to help you guys make the most informed decision about which college campus you want to go to and kind of the opportunities that are offered. So please know that we're all amazing institutions. We all have a lot of really great things to offer you, and it really just comes down to who and which campus is going to be better for you in terms of academics, in terms of student opportunities. So really just think about what's better for you and kind of what you're looking to achieve. Are there any minimum requirements for SAT or GPA? And no. So we don't, well, no for SAT. We don't have a minimum SAT or ACT score. You just have to do the best that you can. For GPA, we do have a minimum. It's 3.0 for in-state California students and a 3.4 for out-of-state students. But just know we review students who apply to us with lower than a 3.0 sometimes, and we will admit students from all, various ranges of GPA within kind of that 3.0 scale. But our average is a 3.9, so that's just kind of something to think about. But we do admit students below all the time, so don't feel like you shouldn't apply just because you have a 3.6 or a 3.5. That's still awesome. Okay. Let's see, what other questions? Is orchestra calculated in the GPA? Yes, we will take any music classes that you take because that counts for our visual and performance arts requirement. And that kind of brings us to, that's kind of a big question for students who are from out of state. If you don't have the visual and performing arts requirement, we won't count it against you. So don't feel again, like you can't apply or you won't be eligible. You'll still definitely be considered. Just do the best that you can to get the requirement in if possible. And if you don't have the opportunity to do so, still apply and let us know in the application that you weren't able to do so. And let's see. Applying undeclared, will it hurt your admission chances? It really depends on the major or the college that you're interested in. If you're applying into the College of Letters and Science, everybody's technically admitted undeclared, so you don't necessarily have to declare a major. If you're applying into, say, the College of Engineering, it's preferred that you actually select a major because you will be admitted directly into the major. And then I want to talk a little bit about the personal statement, and then we're going to go ahead and have our students speak a little bit more. Oh, somebody asked about the GPA, the 3.9. The 3.9 is a weighted or unweighted GPA, so with no extra honor points. The weighted is about a 4.3 or so. But in terms of the personal statement, just make sure that you're talking about yourself. That's one of the most important things, and I will allow the students to talk more about that too. But in the personal statement, think about the fact that we have so many applicants and we can't possibly interview everybody. We want to make sure that you tell us who you are as a person. This is kind of the place where you would definitely want to brag about yourself and tell us who you are, what you've accomplished. Make sure you answer the question and know that, like, for example, in our first question, it's to talk about the world you come from and to talk about how that your world has shaped your dreams and aspirations. Don't talk only about your world, right? If you're going to tell us about how your mom has shaped your world, it's okay if you talk about it briefly, but make sure that you make it more about you, because we're not trying to admit your mom into college. Your mom probably went to college already. We want to admit you. So do the best that you can to maybe touch on your world, as in your mom or your school or whatever you're going to talk about, and make the bigger portion about you and what you've learned and kind of what your goals and your dreams are. So with that, we'll come back to questions shortly. I'm going to have our students just answer a couple of questions. Well, if anybody has a question for them, please make sure you enter those now, because I would love to have you guys ask questions to the students, because this is really all about you. But the first kind of question I have is, what was the most challenging thing you guys faced when you were applying to college when you were in high school? So again, what was the most challenging aspect of applying to college when they were in high school? So we can start with whoever's ready.
Well, for me, the most challenging part was being able to keep up with the course that I was taking my senior year and apply to college. The hardest part about that was being able to balance it so I wasn't dying of, being stressed out. And the thing that really helped me was taking my time with my personal statements. That, like, even though it sounds like personal statements are really hard, but if you take your time with it and you show other people and you get feedback, it becomes less and less stressful, because you become to realize that what you have written really shows who you are. And I would just say that try to manage. I know it's tough to be deciding, okay, where am I going to apply? I need to do this, this, and this, but it will all be over sometime. And then you'll be able to see all the admission offers you got, and it will pay off.
I personally struggled with writing all my personal statements because the questions are really broad and you want to be tempted to answer them in really broad terms. Like, what are your aspirations? And then I would write to save the world or something. And what really helped me in terms of this is I just went really small and I started free writing. And I said, what is my world? And I started really big, but I ended up writing about how I have a coffee table with a lot of books on it at home and how that made me into a reader. And now I'm an English major. So I started really big and I ended really small. And I really just talked about myself and what I like to do on a day-to-day basis. And that helped me a lot.
Yeah, I like the idea of narrowing it down because we do get a lot of personal statements, and sometimes they're too broad or sometimes they're too scattered. There's too many thoughts going on. So really thinking about narrowing down your focus and thinking about one or maybe two things that you want to talk about in terms of your world and making sure that you bring it back to yourself is really important. Did you want to add something?
What was hardest for me, is pretty much echoed with what they said. For me, it was personally the personal statement, because I knew that it was like my one chance to really like get a feel from the reporter reader. Because I like to make this analogy where the numbers of the GPA was like your resume, and then your personal statement was your interview with the admissions officer. So I really put a lot of time and effort and a lot of red marks all over my personal statements just to make sure that I was really comfortable submitting it.
Oh, I think somebody's saying that they can't hear you very well, so maybe you guys could speak up a little bit louder, or maybe we all can come a little bit closer too, just in case here. Okay, so that was some great advice on some of the challenges that you all faced when you were applying. I have a couple more questions that these are actually coming directly from you all, so I want to make sure we address those questions because they are more important than mine. So let's see, what is the average number of courses that a student takes at a given time? So how many classes are you guys taking right now?
A good rule of thumb for me is I like to stay around 16 units or 4 classes. So usually English classes are all 4 units, and if you take 4 of those, that's enough, and that's 16 units.
So I don't think folks can see you. You can maybe squeeze in a little bit. Okay.
I take anywhere between 3 to 4 classes. I say 3 because sometimes I take language classes, and those are 5 units, and so that makes up for another one. But I usually go about 14 to 15 units because I do have a lot of other extracurriculars on the side, and I want to make sure that I can balance everything.
I'm the same way. Right now I'm taking 13 and a half units, but last semester I took 15. It really depends what you can handle. I know the minimum amount of units you can have for the letters in science would be 12 with financial aid at 13. Some people take 18, some people take the minimum. It really depends on what you can handle, and since I have a job and I do have extracurriculars, I think for me a good number would be like 14 or 15.
Great. So I have another really, I think, helpful question, and a student wants to know why you all chose Berkeley as opposed to another college.
All my family have been Cal alums, and so I took a tour with my uncle. And I know this sounds cheesy, but I stepped onto campus and I came onto Memorial Glade, which is the big field in the middle of campus, right across from Doe Library. And I could just see myself at the college. And I know that's a very insubstantial reason, but I felt at home. And then I got a Cal sweatshirt, and now I'm here.
Yay.
For me, I was given the opportunity to take a tour here through one of the recruitment kind of outreaches here, and I really liked the vibe that Berkeley had. It was really easygoing. The city and the campus were really well integrated with one another, and plus San Francisco is across the bay, so there was a lot of things that interested me and made me want to go to Berkeley.
As for me, I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, which is in Southern California. I wanted to explore something differently. And I really liked, when I first stepped onto campus, I was very overwhelmed because it was during the elections, the ASCC elections. So everyone had all these signs telling people to vote for them. And it was very overwhelming at first, but then as soon as after I as soon as I did that and walking through Sproul, once I was actually on the tour, I realized that this place was like, it felt like home. I know it's very cliche, but I didn't feel like it was a strange place anymore. I felt like I could see myself coming here and being here for 4 years.
Great. So there's a student who wants to know about communications, and if you know anybody who's studying it at Cal, so I know that we do have a media studies major here. So actually at Berkeley we don't have a communications major per se, but we do have a media studies major, which is essentially our communications major. It actually used to be called mass communications. That was what I actually studied when I was here at Cal. But the name changed a little bit, so we'll have BJ talk a little bit about it, and then maybe the rest of you can talk a little bit about your major too, so they can learn a little bit about that.
Yeah, so media studies, as Ms. V has said, that it was called mass communications, but the reason why they changed it into media studies is because it sort of got changed into an interdisciplinary kind of curriculum, meaning that it's not just all about communications, you learn about the different things that go into it. So I'm taking a couple of the core classes right now, and we have a lot of elements from psychology, from sociology, even from statistics, and so that's why it's a lot incorporation of different subjects into one bigger course. You do learn a lot of fundamentals that you would learn at a different communications course, but this one has a little bit more research-oriented kind of curriculum. What your majors?
Okay. As for me, I'm a sociology major, and the social department here is it's a top program. And so far, I'm only in my second year, and I've only taken 3 classes in it, but I've loved all my professors. And even though the first class I took was like 300 people, the professor really made herself available to everyone to take advantage of her office hours. And there's also study groups at the Student Learning Center that really helped me succeed in classes. And so far I've really enjoyed my experiences. And I know within the department there are different student organizations revolving around sociology. So there's like a sociology undergraduate research journal that actual undergrads turn in their research projects, and other undergrads look at them and publish them. And then there's also BUSA, which is the Berkeley Undergraduate Sociology Association, and they do a lot of like networking events and just social events for other sociology majors to meet each other. And yeah, so far I've really enjoyed sociology, and it wasn't something that I came into Cal thinking I was gonna do, but I just took one class and I fell in love.
So since this is a communication-specific question, I just want to say that there are opportunities to do communications here, even if there isn't a communications major, because I'm in this chat right now because I'm a communications intern in the Office of Admissions. So I found a communications major, and you can too. And my actual major is English, and we're pretty tight-knit. My largest class has been a prereq, but that was only 100 people. And mostly the classes hover around 60 people, but I've had classes that have had 5, 15. You can really do whatever you want. And it's a lot of flexibility with only a few prereqs, so
yeah,
I like it.
Emma made a lot of really awesome points. Definitely know, I said before we have a 17-to-1 faculty ratio, but with that we also, 90% of our classes are actually still taught by tenured track or tenured professors, so know that most of your classes will be actually taught by real professors here on campus. The other 10% might be graduate instructors, and this is like usually when we have larger classes, so there are some classes where you have like 300 students, 100 students, and those classes will be separated into smaller sections where you are taught by a graduate student who works with you really, really closely to make sure you're understanding the material. I thought that was really helpful when I was a student here as well. So know that you're not just going to be left to fend for yourself. And then in terms of experiences, even if you're, for example, you're not a business major, but you still want to do business-oriented activities, you can still do that. We had student advisors that worked in this office before. One of them was a business major, the other one was not. One of them, they both actually were taking advantage of similar opportunities, and when they both graduated, they both got internships at the exact same accounting firm. So and now they're both going off and getting their masters in, actually one is doing an MBA, the other one's doing accounting. So whatever you study here, even though you're not necessarily, say you want to do communications, like Emma said, if we don't necessarily have that particular major, as long as you're taking advantage of experiences that will help you get to that place, you can still get there, even if it's not the exact major. So we have another really cool question that I thought you guys could speak to, and it's about food. So we want to know about your favorite foods here in Berkeley, or kind of what kind of food we have. So I'll let you guys answer that.
I lived in Clark Kerr my first year, and so the dining hall I would use.
Oh, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but they also want to know about housing. So maybe you could talk about food and housing and dining. Yeah.
So, okay, I'll talk about housing then first. I lived in Clark Kerr my first year, and then I lived in Martinez sophomore dorms my second year, so I had 2 years of housing. And Clark Kerr is pretty far from campus, but I was in a triple in Clark Kerr, and this was what I thought was my last choice. The last thing I put on my housing app was triple in Clark Kerr, but I got it, and that was the most personal space that I've ever had in my entire life, and I felt like I was at a resort. And the dining hall looked like it came out of Harry Potter. So
true.
That's exactly what I can say about housing and food.
I lived in Unit 1 last year, my freshman year, and I really liked it because it was really close to campus, so I could wake up like 15 minutes before class and just like throw something on and just run the class and be fine. As for food, I really enjoy taking advantage of the meal plan. So there's a bunch of cafes around campus that you can use your meal points at. And it was really convenient. There were so many different options. They had like your stereotypical like junk food, like fries. They also had like salads too. There's so many. If you have dietary restrictions, they have vegan options. They have vegetarian options. They have gluten-free options. There's just so many things here that I wouldn't worry about food at all. Also, around campus, there's a bunch of restaurants that I've been wanting to try, and there's just so much good food around that it's like a foodie's paradise.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Did you want to?
Yeah, I lived in Unit 2, and I was actually a spring admit, and so I attended the fall program for freshmen, and so that was actually across the street from Unit 2, and so I did the same thing as Diana over here, and sometimes woke up late and rushed to class. But in terms of food, when I'm not at the dining halls, I would always try out the different food places. A lot of mom and pop businesses. We got pizza, Mexican, Thai, Japanese, you name it. And if you got tired of the Berkeley food, you can always venture out to San Francisco or Oakland, and they're like, really accessible by public transportation.
Great. Yeah, and I definitely want to echo everything they said about food. We have a lot of really great options, either in the dining halls and dining plans, but also within the community. Berkeley and just the San Francisco Bay Area is a mecca of cultures and people, and it's a really amazing place to be able to explore different foods. We have all kinds of really awesome Asian foods, all kinds of Italian. We have Chez Panisse, which is actually a really amazing place to eat. It was started by Alice Waters, who's a Berkeley alum, and she started kind of growing her own foods in a garden here in the community, and really wanted to make sure that we served really great quality food in restaurants and also in Berkeley City schools, which actually was implemented eventually. They started serving like salads and fruits and vegetables to our students here in some of our Berkeley City K through 12 schools. So it's really kind of a cool little point, but there's a lot to offer here on campus. So there is a student who asked a little bit about study abroad and if it's covered by tuition. Has anybody studied abroad here or want to study abroad?
I want to. I looked into the study abroad program. If you do it through the UC and you receive financial aid, you do get some type of aid. There are different study abroad programs, and those are more by for-profit kind of organizations, and those will definitely have to be out-of-pocket expenses. But really, if you do your research, once you get here, there's a lot of opportunities. I had friends that studied in the UK and Thailand and Japan, and so you can really go anywhere you want, really.
I'm actually going to be studying abroad next semester, and I believe that my program is actually cheaper than actually staying here. So what the financial aid office would do is they would reevaluate my package in order to make it reflect how much it would cost for me to study abroad. And also, if you don't decide to do it through UC, there's also independent programs, and they can do consortium agreements, so you would still be able to receive some financial aid for that. The study abroad office here is really amazing. There's so many advisors that are willing to talk to you and answer your questions about studying abroad, and they don't just limit you. They don't limit you by just making you go through UC. They give you all the resources you need to look at programs that maybe the UC doesn't offer.
Great. So there is plenty of aid, as you can hear, either through grants and also through loans, but there's a lot of opportunities here for you guys to take advantage of. So there's some more questions about personal statements. I know that some students are worried. They haven't really been able to decide kind of what to talk about. I know you all talked about it a little bit, but is there one last tip you all want to give about the personal statement and how important it is before we move on to something else?
Yeah, I would say that everybody has kind of stock achievements. Like a lot of people who apply have a really good GPA and they do 5 things out of school. So I wouldn't look at the personal statement as something upsetting and something you have to get through. I would look at it as the place where you get to shine and the place where you get to show everybody who you really are. So it's really a good opportunity to distinguish yourself. So don't worry about it. Just try to showcase yourself.
I would say show it to a lot of people. So show it to people that know you really well, show it to people that don't know you very well, because everyone will see the different things that your essay could probably improve on, or that's really good about your essay that you yourself can't see. So just share your essay, don't be afraid.
For me, I think one thing that I kept really thinking about when I was writing my personal statement was like the little things, like it's the little things that count. And that's how I got to my subject, and which made it really personal to me. I talked about how I took public transportation to school for all 4 years of high school, and that was something that was really personal to me and how that really affected my time in high school. So if you really think of experiences, whether like really small day-to-day things, or as Emma said about like the coffee table with her books, like it's just really small personal things about you that I feel like you should add to your personal statement.
Great. So we really only have 3 minutes left. I do want to kind of touch some general things that I'm seeing, and then I'll ask one final question to the students. One thing I should tell you all, and there's some questions about graduate admissions, and unfortunately I just want you all to know that we can't answer graduate admissions, so please know that there is a graduate office that you can contact for those questions. I know that there's somebody who's a little bit worried about if there's anywhere for students to go when the dorms close during the holidays, because they do close. But we do have options for students who can't necessarily go home, and I would contact the housing office about that, but there is options for you. Somebody asked about if we have a Chicano Studies minor, and we do. And then the last question we'll touch here is a student wanted to know one student actually asked about debt and if you get worried about graduating and having a lot of debt. And then the second piece I want you to touch on is what do you like most about Berkeley and how did it help you grow as a person? And we really only have about 2 minutes left, so hopefully you all can touch on that.
Debt is definitely a scary thing, but really when you think about it, taking out that loan is really an investment in yourself and your education. When I thought about it, I was debating if I wanted to take the loan or not, but in the end I did, because I realized, this money is going to help me gain that education, and then in the end I can always pay it back, because going to Berkeley itself will, give you a boost when it comes to careers and jobs.
I definitely agree with that, and I'd also say that I'm not true, even though I I do have loans, I'm not too worried about them because I know if my time here is an investment, and also there's a lot of resources that can help me find jobs that will help me pay back those loans. So I'm not really too worried about it, as long as I'm resourceful.
So I'll answer how Berkeley has changed me as a person. It has humbled me, and I know that's not something you come in wanting to be humbled, but everybody here is so smart and they're so interesting, and I've never met a boring person who goes here, and everybody has helped me. They've helped me with my writing, they've encouraged me to become more involved in my major, and they've really helped me to step out of my comfort zone. So that's how it's changed me. It's gotten me out of my comfort zone. That's a good thing.
Great. So we have 50 seconds. I don't know if anybody else wants to add a final thought before we close. I do want to remind everybody that our chat room is still open. We're going to be open for a little bit longer, so you can actually go and chat with some of us. Actually, we'll probably be going to the chat room after this, so please know that if your questions didn't get answered. But definitely want to closing thoughts. Anyone? Pieces of advice?
Go Bears!
Go Bears! Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. We appreciate your time. We know you still have lots of questions. Feel free to, go to our website. Admissions.berkeley.edu is a really great, resourceful place for you all to visit. Also encourage you again to visit us at the chat room after this. So thank you guys so much. We all hope you have a great day and good luck with your application, and go Bears.
Bye.
Bye.